entertain any questions that you may have. Time is always right to do what is right. What is happening in America is wrong. The murders of Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy mark once again a tragic disregard for the lives of American citizens. This is just not a Minneapolis problem. This is an American problem. This is not a Minneapolis tragedy. It is an American tragedy. It is not law and order. It is chaos and disorder. Constitutional rights are being violated under the First, Fourth, Fifth, and 10th Amendments. Now the champions and extreme advocates for the Second Amendment are seeking to ignore the very right out of their own selective convenience. They declared a certified licensed carrier of a concealed weapon should not be allowed to attend protests or public assemblies. Where was the outrage on January 6th when thousands of insurrectionists stormed the nation's capital? They were not murdered, they were pardoned. Where was the outrage when the 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse fired on 3 men with a military-style semi-automatic rifle, killing 2 and seriously injuring a 3rd? Where was the outrage when members of the Unite the Right, a white supremacist rally that took place in Charlottesville, Virginia, injuring 35 persons and deliberately killing Heather Heyer? President Trump declared there were very good people on both sides. Right and wrong are not equal. As my grandmama used to say, 2 wrongs don't ever make a right. The Minnesota Department of Criminal Investigation should be allowed to investigate the death of Mr. Preddy and Ms. Good directly. If not, it will not be fair, nor will it be complete. The President, Secretary of Homeland Security, Commander of U.S. Border Patrol, along with the current Director of the FBI, have all indicated that the murder in Minneapolis of Mr. Preddy was legitimate, even accusing him of being a domestic terrorist. The architect of these programs, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, even called him an assassin. He believes in the theory, the iron law of the world, where might makes right. Even Attorney General Pam Bondi jumped into this act by sending a letter of extortion, demanding the voting records from citizens in Minnesota in order for ICE to leave or reduce its numbers. These attacks are intentionally designed to intimidate, subjugate, and eliminate all those who do not believe in the ideology of Donald Trumpery. The FBI raid on the voting records in the state of Georgia, where Trump lost by thousands of votes in the 2020 election, is more evidence of this fact. The attack upon Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar speaking at a public rally, being sprayed with a chemical, is another example where President Trump, without any evidence at all, called this a phony stage attack by the Congresswoman herself. The recent arrest of independent journalists now, Don Lemon and Georgia Fort in Minnesota, as they were in the church interviewing and talking to people there, is another indication of this fact. The attack upon these individuals reflect an intolerance and a reflection of this current season of tyranny. President Trump, without any evidence, as I said, called this stuff phony. ICE is masked, dressed in army fatigues, armed to the teeth, users of profane language, disregarders of women and children, possessing a secret memo which would allow them to go into homes without a judicial warrant. The Trump regime openly and proudly supports the protesters in the homeland of Iran, fighting to obtain democracy, while at the same time they support the killing of American citizens here in the homeland who are fighting to preserve our democracy. Transferring border czar Tom Homan, the leader of the program to separate over 5,000 children from families at the southwest border during the first Trump regime, as a deterrent to immigrant migration, also cited for accepting $50,000 cash in a brown paper bag by an undercover FBI agent, means absolutely nothing. Changing personnel without changing policy still leaves the people in a perilous predicament. The current ICE policies exercised in America remind us of 1939 Germany, today's Russia, China, North Korea, and the old Southern America, as they attacked, lynched, and kidnapped African Americans simply trying to register people to vote. This is America wrong, not strong. More lives will be lost unless the policies of ICE are melted. The salt to melt ice is strength, accountability, legality, and tenacity. We call upon the Michigan congressional delegation across party lines, Republican, Democrat, or Independent, to stand firm for such a time as this. The pushback on these extreme attacks by the people is why the Trump regime is changing its tone while still singing the same song, entitled Retribution. We must not allow a suggested relaxation of ICE and now an unsuggested relaxation of ICE policies by the president to deter the actions of the people to demand a new precedent for ICE operations. The power of the people can never be defeated. This is really what democracy looks like. To paraphrase the words of President Ronald Wilson Reagan, don't trust until you can verify. ICE must not be allowed to freeze the Constitution or paralyze the very spirit of our democracy. Michigan Republicans must speak up and out without ambiguity, particularly Representatives John James, Lisa McClain, Tom Barrett, Tim Walberg, Bill Huiziger, John Molinar, and Jack Bergman. Democratic Representatives Haley Stevens, Rashida Tlaib, Sri Tanadar, Debbie Dingell, Senators Alyssa Slotkin, and Gary Peters, who have stood up on these issues, must not falter, but remain strong. Recent polls indicate that over 60% of Americans believe ICE has overstepped its boundaries. Its operations are completely out of control. We call upon the U.S. Congress to add no new funding for the Department of Homeland Security, particularly targeting ICE. They have already been given a $10 billion base allocation per year, plus access to a $75 billion supplemental over and up to 4 years, roughly $28 to $29 billion per year if they draw it evenly based on the big, bad, ugly bill. Withhold funds that have already been allocated for ICE until there is a transformation of operational policies that can be measured. Provide independent investigations, allowing local authorities to investigate these murders and abuses. End the attacks and terrorism on American cities by the federal government using ICE, National Guard, and federal troops currently charged with enforcing the political whims and desires of the President of the United States. ICE agents must immediately be unmasked. A judicial warrant must be obtained before violating property, human, and civil rights. Future immigration enforcement funding must be based on comprehensive civil rights constitutional training, including the Fourth and Fifth Amendments, protection with current training programs and annual certification. Body cams must be worn by all immigration enforcement agents to ensure accurate reporting of apprehension activities. An end to federal immunity for ICE agents. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem must be removed or impeached along with other minions, mouthing, articulating, and enforcing these same tyrannical policies. The time is always right to do what is right. In the end, the ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. So we're reminded by the Prince of Peace, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This time I'd like to ask some of the colleagues to come forward and ask Laura Dickerson, Vice President UAW, International UAW, and International Board Member, Representative Labor, if she would come and offer comments. Laura?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. The UAW stands here. We stand here in solidarity with the NAACP and our members. We have, too, had issues recently. Freedom of speech is at the top of our agenda. We want to make sure that our members continue to be able to live in this country and not have some of the issues that we're experiencing right now with ICE, with freedom of speech, and with that, having government intervention on those topics. So today, we stand here strong for our membership to make sure that they continue to have a world that they live in where they can protest and collectively bargain and protest over the things that they believe in. And we fully support our members in their beliefs without government intervention. So with that, I will leave that as our statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Attorney Nabia Yard, board chair and founder of the Arab American Civil Rights League.
Thank you, Reverend Anthony, and thank you, Camila, for putting this together. As the great Martin Luther King Jr. said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. But with all due respect to what is going on in this country, this is not the America that we know. Here, being home to the largest concentration of Arab Americans outside of the Middle East, we applaud. We applaud that is going on in this day and time. The fact of the matter is, we stand here united with all these organizations here in Metro Detroit, as well as the Minnesotians that are going through this. You know, the Trump administration gambled, and they gambled and they doubled up against a gamble that they lost very, very heavily. The Minnesotians, the average Americans, will not stand for violations of the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, and other amendments that this administration has been violating so heavily. These individuals, this is not the America where individuals, a 5-year-old is left while crying while his parents are being arrested. A 7-year-old autism child has to stand there while sees their mother to trial. The individuals having seizures, children being ripped out of their parents' thing while they're having seizures, busting out windows on vehicles, question average Americans, United States citizens, U.S. veterans that have been arrested and taken into custody, people that have fought for this country. Shame on this administration. Shame on what is happening here in Minnesota and across the country. We stand here united with the Minnesotans. We say, Minnesotans, you are us. The fact of the matter is this administration has gone rogue. They need to understand they never, ever, ever predicted that the average folk like the Minnesotans will stand up. And they stood up strong and deep freeze weather, marching for the right of Callum and the mankind. So we stand here united and saying what is wrong and what is right. This cannot continue. Enough is enough. Mr. President, you need to stop. This is not a third world nation. This is the United States of America, which we proud ourselves all over the world. We say, come to the United States. Come giving your free, your poor, your liberty. This is what the Statue of Liberty stood for. It doesn't stand for that anymore. And we are very sad today that we know that our government is taking on this Gestapo type events that we see in Germany and other worlds around the nations. So we're asking here united, we're going to do our part. And we urge every American, every average citizen, everyone in this country to do their part. Thank you.
I wish you had more passion.
I learned from you, Rap.
Let me call on my good friend and brother, the Reverend Dr. Tellis Chapman, pastor of the Galilee Missionary Baptist Church.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony, my big brother, and to each of you who gather here. We assemble today in protest over the corrupt, clandestine, and counteractive actions of some evil-minded people who have oversight of our government. These are the individuals who sanction the unchecked behavior of ICE agents who are granted immunity for killing defenseless citizens of the United States of America. The white hoods and sheets of the Ku Klux Klan have been replaced by black masks and ICE uniforms. Immigration control is out of control. And the visitation of the Secretary of Homeland Security and the President of the United States will not make any difference. We need policy change. The current administration cannot be trusted to tell the truth about anything, nor is there any confidence in the press or president doing anything with character. The Justice Department has been weaponized, and committee hearings on political violence on Capitol Hill is a front. We call upon Congress to make real policy changes regarding ICE and the Department of Homeland Security, and until this is done, some more people are going to die. The solution is not difficult to implement. If you stop the killers, you must stop the killing in order to stop the killers. To stop the killing, you stop the killers. Stop the killers, you stop the killing. We don't come here to merely make a statement, but to indicate to the press and to the world who is listening that we propose credible change in our country's culture and racial climate. To remain silent as preachers, as laity, as citizens, as lawmakers, is to be complicit with the status quo. Our government has become weaponized. It's Minnesota now, but it will be another city tomorrow. It's Gaza now, but it'll be another place tomorrow. It's Venezuela now. It'll be another country tomorrow. It's Fulton County today. It will be another county tomorrow. We appeal to the powers that be to write policy that will stop ICE raiders and FBI agents from breaking into our places without warrants, shooting us, flash bombing us, profiling us, racially profiling us, pepper spraying us, choking us, killing us, and stop them from getting immunity to do it all over again. It is an insult to our oath or an individual's oath of office to continue seeing the rest of the country change and fight for reform, but still sit in seats of power and do nothing, not one thing about it because they are afraid to vote against one man. We are black, white, Jews, Muslims, Protestants, and Catholics, civic activists, grassroots organizations, preachers, clerics, and genuine tax-paying citizens, men and women standing united as the voice of reason, saying stop the hurt, stop the killing, stop upholding the same antiquated policies that perpetuate plight, stop refusing to make bad policies accountable or bad people in public places accountable, and stop supporting the bad behavior that good tax-paying citizens are funding. Stop the killers. You can stop the killing. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. See you ready for Sunday morning. Also, as you see the rainbow of people here, organizationally, racially, ideologically, we're pleased to have all of us coming together under this one umbrella. I'm going to ask now our good friend and sister Mary Carmen Munoz, Executive Director of LACED, if she would come.
Muy buenos días. My name is Mary Carmen Munoz, and I'm honored to be the Executive Director for Latin Americans for Social and Economic Development, LACED. LACED is the oldest Latino advocacy agency in Metro Detroit. I would like to thank the Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony and Camelia Landrum and the Detroit NAACP for bringing us together at this critical moment. We gather today united in our belief that the value of human life and the rule of law must always be upheld throughout this nation we all call home. At LACED, we stand firmly with communities demanding transparency, justice, and respect for due process. Every person, regardless of race, ethnicity, immigration status, or political belief, deserves to feel safe, protected, and treated with dignity under the law. This is not a partisan issue. It is a human rights issue. Public trust in our institutions depends on fair and humane enforcement of the law. And we must insist on accountability when that trust is broken. We also recognize the pain and fear that the violence has created. The losses resonate within families and communities across America, including here in Detroit, especially among communities of color and immigrant communities that already carry the weight of long-standing inequities. Let me be clear, LACED condemns violence. We support impartial investigations and full transparency. We call for policies and practices that safeguard civil liberties and protect human life. LACED stands in solidarity with our brothers and sisters at the Detroit NAACP and others that have joined us here today. We advocate for peace, accountability, and systemic reform. We are here to work together toward a future grounded in justice, compassion, and respect for all human beings. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. I always tell young people, you're not the youth of tomorrow, you're the youth of today. So if you don't deal with today, tomorrow for you will never arrive. So we're pleased to have two youth representatives, Ms. Anaya Jones, First Vice President of the NAACP Michigan State Conference Youth and College Division, and then following her we'll have Michaela Hedden, who's President of the NAACP Detroit Youth Council.
Hi everyone, my name is Anaya Jones. As the first vice president of the NAACP Michigan State Conference Youth and College Division, I want to be clear why we are here today. When people are killed and when Fifth Amendment right to due process and basic human dignities are violated, this is not law enforcement, this is an abuse of power. No agency, no badge, no title places anyone above the Constitution. We have seen this right here in Michigan. ICE targeting parents at Ypsilanti bus stop during student drop-off, turning routine moments of family life scenes into fear and trauma. Accountability is not anti-law enforcement. It is pro-democracy and pro-safety. That is why we are calling for transparency, including unmasking ICE agents and ending practices that terrorize communities rather than protect them. If you believe in due process, if you believe in protected families, and if you believe the Constitution applies to everyone, take actions today. Text Dry Ice to 20707 to contact your senators and demand accountability. Silence is not neutral. The Constitution requires courage, and so do we. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michaela Hedden, and I'm president of the NAACP Detroit Youth Council, and I'm also a student at Cass Technical High School. Before I came here, I asked some students at my school what are the impacts on their communities and in their personal lives, and they use words like a fear you can't mess with, humane, and unconstitutional. They also said things like ICE is messing with their routines, like they can't go to certain stores they usually go to. I also asked some personal stories that they have, and one story was that a student, two parents are immigrants, and they haven't taken their students to school in a long time due to fear. One student also shared that his best friend's father was taken from ICE at his job, and he hasn't seen his father in about 7.5 years. So the youth experiences are people aren't going to school. People are getting taken away from their families. And they also said that ICE doesn't just take away from families, it also takes away from relationships. So the NAACP has a Dry ICE campaign, and it's for any additional federal funding for ICE to be stopped. Congress should not bankroll harm, fear, and chaos. ICE has been allowed to operate with alarming negligence and little accountability, and this administration has failed to rein in it. The consequences are real. Families torn apart, communities destabilized, and lives lost. While Americans are told this is about safety, what people are actually experiencing is trauma and terror.
Makes you proud when you hear your young people stand up like that. But now to ask my good friend and brother, longtime civil rights lawyer and one who has always stood up for justice, Attorney Jeffrey Edison, who's a spokesperson for the National Conference of Black Lawyers Michigan chapter. And then following Jeffrey, we'll be prepared to answer any questions that you may have. Jeff?
Thank you, Brother Wendell. The National Conference of Black Lawyers stands in solidarity not only with the NAACP Michigan chapter, Detroit chapter, but for all the men, women, and children across this country who are standing up, letting their voices be heard, that they will not tolerate the type of oppression and oppression that is being exhibited by this administration. We stand with the people of Minnesota. We stand with the people throughout this country who are letting their voices be heard. The recent blatant execution of the citizens of Minnesota is not a recent manifestation of oppression and racism in the United States. We as Africans have endured centuries and decades long of state and government sanctioned murder and violence. The reference to Brother Martin Luther King, as he acknowledged the history of violence of America being unique throughout the world. So we stand here, we will not be silent. The only way the killers will be stopped, the only way the killing will end, is that there is true accountability for their blatant oppression and terrorism. If we are silent, then they become victorious. We will not remain silent. Our ancestors before us were not silent. We will not be silent, and the generations after us will not be silent. We demand accountability. We will stand up until justice is obtained. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Edison, Jeffrey. I do see, and my good brother, and he's the new president of the Council of Baptist Pastors, Reverend Dr. Orville Littlejohn. I know he said he didn't want to say nothing, but you're so sharp, brother. Come on and say something here this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony. And we represent the Council of Baptist Pastors of the Detroit vicinity, and we just want our community to know that we stand with Dr. Anthony and all of our colleagues here before you to vehemently oppose the goings-on of our government and what's being done through this mass murdering agency called ICE. As people we are confident in our community of faith, and we believe by God's grace we already have the victory. However, we remain confident and committed to the fight. We stand with you, Dr. Anthony. We stand with you, Dr. Chapman. We stand with all of you as Council of Baptist Pastors to make our voices known, that we will not sit back, we will not lay back, we will not be silent. We are committed to the fight. We are committed to stand strong in justice and in truth.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doc. This is nonpartisan. Evil is not something that any of us can eliminate without goodness taking its place. Truth and falsity cannot offer and stand in the same location. What's happening in Minnesota, Georgia, LA, Chicago, New Orleans, Memphis, can easily happen here in Detroit. We don't want that to occur. Those of you who are journalists, I mentioned the fact that Don Lemon, who was a CNN anchor, independent journalist in Georgia Ford, independent journalist, were simply doing what you were doing now. And they were arrested, which means the same thing can happen to you. It can happen to any of us. I feel the pain when I see mothers and fathers separated from their children. Think of how you would feel if your child was taken from you, if you were separated from your child, not knowing where they are, what they're doing, who's with them, what that situation is. You cannot eat, you cannot sleep, you cannot rest, you cannot even think, because your mind is stayed on your child. That's what people are suffering and enduring at the hands of the President of the United States of America, simply because he don't like certain people.
Say that.
And so that's why we're here, to say, hell no, we won't go. And this is not what the doctor, our Lord, our Savior, whatever you call him, Jesus, Allah, Muhammad, Krishna, or if you don't call him anything, this is not what has been ordered for us. And so we're speaking up because we have to. As a Christian minister, faith without works is dead. We're open for any questions that you may have. Yes, sir.
How do we communicate this message as well to some of the communities outside of Detroit that may not feel they have things as much in common as what's going on in Minnesota, places like Monroe or Howell, Rochester Hills?
We hope that's what you're going to help us do, because that's why we have this press conference. And as I said, probably before you got here, that this extends beyond Detroit. UAW is all over the country. ACRL is broad outside of Detroit, Dearborn and other places. The Council of Baptist Pastors has a bunch of preachers of Detroit and vicinity, as they say. The NAACP is all over this state. Detroit is the largest branch in the country. And so the word is there. And then you'd have to be living under a rock not to know what's going on in America. And so our Michigan State Conference is represented here. That encompasses all of the branches in the state of Michigan. So the word is out. But through your reporting and through your lifting up this issue, others will see it. And we hope that it will reflect your passion as well, because you're American citizens. Y'all got a stake in this too. And so this is about all of us. Church, media, labor, faith-based, young, old, and between, black, white, brown, red, yellow. If we're going to make America mellow, we got to stand up with our fellows. I like that.
What should accountability look like for elected officials who aren't taking a strong enough stance against some of the tyranny that's taking place?
Accountability should look like when we get to the voting booth. Everybody got a record. People want to be elected. We have a big election coming up in 2026 and again in 2028. Look at the record in terms of where are you? What are you saying? There are people who want to be the governor. What are you saying? What are you doing? There are people who want to be Congress people or senators or secretaries of state. What are you saying? There are people who are running for state legislatures and representatives and senates. So accountability means, what have you done lately in this great chasm, this crucible of affliction that we're in right now? So the record speaks for itself. Now is not the time for people to be tentative and to be, so cautious that they cannot stand up. It's really troubling that very few, and NAACP is nonpartisan. We have Republicans and Democrats and independents, and some people don't know what they are. They in the organization. But it's troubling that Republicans will not stand up and say something. John James, where the hell is he at? All these people who want to seek higher office. If this is how you're doing now at this office, we know what you won't do at a higher office. Same thing for if you're a Democrat. Same thing. If you're saying, or if you're independent, same thing. Doesn't matter. Now is the time to open up your mouth, to declare where you stand, and we hope and pray that it is with the people, not with this president. I hope I responded to your question.
Sir, you had alluded to this, as did Attorney Edison. I wanted you to expound a bit more, just even the sentiment among some African Americans that this is not our fight. If you could speak to that a bit more, you alluded to it a bit earlier.
Brother, it is our fight. We've been in the fight since 1619 and before. So it is definitely our fight. Oppression is very well known within the African American community. We had 100 years of lynching. That's why the NAACP came into being in 1909, because of lynchings and racism and police abuse and the lack of opportunity. We don't want to go back to that. That's why Fannie Lou Hamer was beaten and almost killed. That's why Dr. King was shot down and killed. That's why JFK and RFK were killed. That's why we marched. That's why we have the Civil Rights Bill. That's why we have the Voting Rights Bill. People didn't like that. That's why John Lewis was beat on the head and almost died as he crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and others. So we are in this fight. Let me just say, if they're doing this to white folk, you know what they're going to do to black folk, which is what they've already been doing. And black people have been picked up as well. Folk from Africa have been picked up as well. And so it's not necessarily only a color thing. It's a human thing. And so we got to get beyond that. I'm just concerned about my Latino brothers and sisters as I am about black folk. I'm just concerned about Arab communities as I am about black folk. We all in this thing. We might have come over here a different way, but we in the same day right now. And that is the fact that we all have to stand up and address this. Let's not wait until our neck is put under the guillotine to see that it's time to pull it out.
And I know you mentioned our congressmen and women a little earlier, but has the NAACP made contact with them? If so, how did it go? Have you expressed concerns?
We have, nationally and locally. They know about what our concerns are. They receive our press statements. They receive phone calls. So yeah, they know. And as I said, several of the Democrats have stood up and said things about it. I'm not giving them a pass. I want them to stand strong and remain firm. But it's the Republicans that we've not heard from. You have constituents. We are your constituents too. That's right. You ain't said nothing other than you support the program of the president. What the hell is that? The president is the one that's causing all this mess. And so if you're supporting that, you can't be supporting us. And so perhaps after this, you'll go and interview some of them and say, where y'all at? Because you need to be here. Say more and let's do more. Yes.
Do you have any calls to action for members of the community? I know one of the speakers mentioned like messengers or contact your senators, or also like I know there's like a general strike going on today. Like, what do you want to see from members of the community, like Detroit, of Michigan, of I guess everyday people that are seeing this?
Well, as you see, the people of Minnesota are everyday people. They don't have a single leader. They're mamas and daddies, sisters and brothers, uncles and aunties, nieces and nephews, grandmamas, granddaddy, people who've never in their entire lives done anything. But now they are compelled because of their humanity to get engaged. And so we call upon our community to certainly contact your representatives, to come out when you get to call, to join an organization that is attacking and fighting this situation, to keep your cameras trimmed and burning so that when you see situations that occur, you can film it. Just think, if we didn't have this, we would not know what we know today. And my concern is all the things that have gone on when we didn't have this. All the people who've been abused because there was none of this available. And so we're working also with our city because there should be an area where people who are, if in fact something happens, should be able to call a hotline and report that and get assistance. We pray that lawyers who have a sensitivity to the struggle for civil rights and human rights, to maintain that when folk get in trouble, that they might be available to assist them without all these exorbitant fees. We know they got to eat too. But I'm just saying that that's something that we're looking at because that's a part of it. So get engaged, like these young people here. At Cass Tech today, they're walking out at 2:30 to demonstrate that. I'm not advocating, don't jump, all the schools to walk out. I went to Central, I led walkouts. But I'm just simply saying, they're having a walkout today at 2:30. They're showing their solidarity. Yes. They don't know none of these people in Minnesota. But the fact that they want to show solidarity is vitally important. Churches, preachers, say something on Sunday morning. It ain't about pie in the sky when you die. I want some cake at the lake while I can still take it. And I'm simply saying that we all have a role in this. Everybody. Labor, they everywhere. Because, and you know, the laborers, whether they're hired. So they got to do what that's why Laura is here. To let you know that labor is in this. And that's why you're here. Media people, you have a role in this. Don't just cut a little piece of segment out. Try to tell a story of what we did here and what this is about. I know y'all don't control